Inspiration comes from a place of pain. You know, most likely early in life, people look down on you. You were the kind of person that people around you, they counted you out. They saw you as an outcast. They saw you as a misfit. They saw you as a screw up. They saw you as dumb. They saw you as incompetent. And they gave you an identity. These people could have been family members, could have been your siblings, could have been your friends, your teachers, other guardians in the neighborhood, could have been coaches, could have been your bosses. They saw you as weak. They saw you as a people pleaser because you always had a good heart. You know, you wanted to help people. You know, you confused not having boundaries with being a good person because you were conditioned to be that way. The people around you, they saw your light, they saw your heart, and they wanted to destroy you. They thought that you were somebody that they could just take advantage of. They thought they were entitled to take advantage of you. They thought that they were entitled to walk all over you. And for a while, you probably did get walked over. You probably got taken advantage of. You got made fun of. All these negative things. You never fit in. You never understood the world. You never understood why people felt the need to get over on one another or curse one another, lie, cheat, steal. And you were set apart. You were always set apart. You were never meant to fit in with this world. So the inspiration comes from that dark realization. They wanted to give you an identity that was not yours. They wanted you to view yourself as less than. And then when you woke up, you realized that that was not who you were. And the rage of that realization is what drives you to accomplish greatness. You know, there's an old saying that goes, a tree cannot reach heaven unless it has roots in hell. And you walk through hell. We walked through hell. You know, we were lonely. We were broken, heartbroken at the bottom. No friends. Nobody understood us. We didn't have a voice. We were silenced. We were conditioned to be silenced until we woke up, till we found the glorious light of God. It's also another scripture that goes, the stone that became, probably gonna butcher this, but the stone that was rejected becomes the cornerstone. And that's you. That's you when you wake up. You are the cornerstone. That's referencing to Christ, I believe. But you got to realize that you were the one that everybody looked down on. Everybody saw you as a loser. Well, they didn't see you as that. You know, they always saw that you had potential in you, but they didn't want you to know that about yourself. They wanted you to accept their negative projection of you. They wanted to make you feel like an outcast because the people of this world, they need to feel validated by others in order to feel valuable about themselves. But those of us, you know, children of God, chosen ones, we can thrive in isolation. That is a gift that we have. You know, most people cannot thrive in isolation. Most people, they need the validation of others. But because we have that relationship with God, with Source, we are able to utilize isolation to create and do awesome things. Most people cannot do that. Most people would go crazy if they were isolated, and they think that we're the same, but we're not like them. We are built different. And that's where inspiration comes from. It comes from that dark place. It comes from walking through that furnace of rejection, of affliction, of pain, of destroying that old identity that they wanted you to carry. You are not who these people said you are. You are great. You are who God sees you as, at your best self, at your strongest, at your most talented, at your most fearless, at your most bold. The world doesn't want you to think that about yourself. They want you to have low self-esteem and tell you to be humble. But being humble is not choosing to be less of yourself to satisfy another person's demons. Being humble is about being your best self and choosing to have kindness and humility towards others. So inspiration comes from destroying that old self, destroying that old version of you that was afraid, that was weak, that was silenced, and becoming a new creation, becoming something new, becoming who you were always destined to be. An inspiration, it comes from a place of pain that many people cannot comprehend. You have to be there to experience it. If you haven't experienced it, it's going to be hard for you to sort of be inspired. A lot of people just choose to live average because they've never been to that pain zone. They've never experienced that pain before. They've never experienced what it's like to be the person that was rejected, looked down on, spat down upon. And because they lived average, that's all they know. So a lot of people cannot figure out a way to do something awesome with their life. And in some ways, it was a blessing to go through that furnace. You know, it's hard to look back on. You know, it's very painful to look at in retrospect, but there's a silver lining in everything. So find your inspiration. I don't care what it is. Make music, write books, go back to that pain zone and look at where you are now and tell that story of overcoming. That's where inspiration comes from. And if you can tap into that, you'll accomplish greatness. Hope you like this video. I'm out.